Hey, this is Mark Ogney with Simplexity AI. Got some great news for you today. We have something brand new to show you. Before we get started, just a little bit of a background for those who may not know who we are. But we've been developing expert trained custom language models for the last year. And this is a bit of a joke, but is intended to show that the chat part of the LLM or the generative AI movement is really not what is built for business. If you look at it when you first log in, it talks about, hey, what kind of clothes should you wear? Um, this is a consumer interface that sits on top of an enterprise solution. For example, ChatGPT is a consumer interface that sits on top of OpenAI. And because the consumer interface, you get constrained amount of conversation you can have before it starts to hallucinate, and there's a real lack of context as to what you can actually provide to it. And so, kind of a joke here, but one of the things we talk about is that really ChatGPT is like the DOS prompt from the late 80s when everybody was saying, like, hey, this PC thing, everybody's going to have one of them on their desk pretty soon. And, I can say for myself, I just like bullshit. Nobody's going to go through that kind of pain to get to what's supposed to be a great solution. But then we came up with Windows and other operating systems that became much easier. So, real quick, what we're trying to do is to help with B2B sales marketing content to provide context that's trained directly for your knowledge base, your customer types, your personas. And because of this, you can ask a simple English question and get a robust human quality response back in one shot. So we are replacing the knowledge of everything from quantum physics and all that, where what you need to know is a billionth of 1% of all the LLM knows. We're opening that up to be about 80% of what it knows by providing expert trained data for your instance and then feeding that directly into OpenAI, but allowing it 20% aperture to look outside. So this is an expert trained model, super easy to use, but we even have better news today. Let me show you this. So this is our new sales enablement coach. It still sits on top of expert trained data. But what we've done is developed a new front end where anybody, like literally anybody, could interact with it by answering questions. And it'll start a dialogue with you. Imagine this as being the typical sales enablement scenario where a salesperson has a meeting. It's got, multiple different facets of a persona and a challenge and an industry and all this. They ask a marketer, like, what kind of content should I use? The marketer sends back 3 white papers and says your answer's somewhere in here. And then the salesperson deletes it. Why? Because they need an answer. They don't need more work. So what I'm trying to drive here is something where a salesperson could self-serve, have a coach, an AI-driven coach that's trained specifically on the context of their business to provide that information that they're looking for. So with no further ado, let's just rush through and we'll pick a couple of things here. So what is the industry? SaaS. I may actually go and speed this up here, and so I don't have to talk all the way through this, and it'll be a little bit faster for you. Okay, so in just a little over a minute, what we end up with here is a coaching document that can be copied and then dropped somewhere wherever you want it to go. But basically, it's ordered in the sense of, first of all, a recap. Here's the industry, the firm size, the engagement stage, objective for the call, all the details that we just went through. Then what it's going to do is the AI is going to select the top 3 topics that are going to be the highest value for this specific conversation here. And this goes back to the expert trained data that we set on top of the model. And this is completely knowledgeable of the client's interaction, their personas, their capabilities, their differentiation, and all of that. So first topic here, validating marketing impact with reliable analytics. Why is that important? Okay, so we said we were an SVP, actively involved in discussions with the CMO and CFO, establishing credibility and trust in marketing metrics. Part of the use case here was the CFO was pushing back on marketing and their ability to build a business case for the budget. Interpretation, so the marketer is going to be looking at this conversation. It likely needs to demonstrate that demand gen can drive quantifiable business outcomes that justify the marketing spend so that they can keep the money and the CFO would understand their perspective here. So what we're going to start with is how do you begin the conversation? So the first questions are going to be about questions to initiate the conversation. Next, we're going to get into situation discovery questions. So if we see that the person is locking into this one of the three topics, this one, then we'll be able to have situation discovery questions and then value propositions for this specific issue that we're working with right now. And see, we have topic 2 now and topic 3, and then there's going to be some closing questions. So as I'm wrapping things up, and my objective is that I want to have the next meeting, it's creating questions that I can use to help achieve that objective. Hey, I hope you guys like this. This is really a great new tool that we have, and it's usable by anybody. And my kids have come in here and used this now. So if they can use it, you can use it too and find value. If this sounds interesting, reach out to us at www.simplexity.ai. Thanks a lot. Take care.